Hey garden friends, it's Destry. Welcome back to my Oregon yard today. Gosh, you guys, I can't even believe that it's almost the end of June. It's amazing how fast this month has gone and my garden is just exploding with color. So today I want to do a June garden tour with you. We're going to take a little walk around and see all the awesome and amazing things that are blooming here in the month of June in my Oregon yard. So I thought we would start our tour over here because I've got so many things blooming here in this cut flower patch. So these are the Campanula Bluebell. I believe these are from Johnny's seeds, and these are actually seeds that I had some left over from last year, and then I collected some as well, and both of them came up, the ones that were, from a packet from last year and the ones I collected. The zinnias behind there are starting to bloom as well. These zinnias are from Floret, so I'm getting some of those pretty, like, kind of champagne colors that I was kind of hoping for. And you can see I've got some pink ones back here as well. So definitely some really pretty things here in my Vigo garden bed, this first one. And then in the second one here, I have some stock that is blooming, and then some amaranth, which is getting ready to bloom. So you can see it's putting on some bloom stalks there. But this is the stock. This one is also from Floret. The seeds were from Floret, and it smells really, really good. Unfortunately, when I cut these ones, they're not going to come again, so I'll have to figure out something else to put in this bed. But I'm also excited to see how this amaranth is going to come along here. So these areas here are looking really, really beautiful in my yard this month. Another spot that's looking so pretty right now is this bed here. So this is a ground cover. And it is in full bloom. It's really kind of taken over this bed. And then behind it, I put some chrysanthemums. So they are looking so pretty, and they're like a really big, kind of big variety. So this combo here of the yellow and orange in this raised garden bed is just really stunning right now. Another thing that's really taken off this month is these sweet peas. So when you walk in this area, they smell so good. There's this one here that's more of like a lighter color, and then I have some of this dark, like burgundy color. So this archway right here is looking really pretty. I don't know if they'll continue to grow up, but I'm hoping that they will. But I'm definitely going to be cutting some of these for some cut flower arrangements this month. Another area of my yard that's just exploding with color right now are these lilies. So I planted these as bulbs in the early spring, and you can see they're just absolutely beautiful. They smell really good. And I've got kind of a yellow, a pink, and then this really gorgeous orange. So I think I'll be cutting some of these today to make some cut flower arrangements. And I really like the presence that they have in the garden. Over here in this garden bed, I did notice that the Shasta daisies are blooming. So this is another one which I might use for some cut flower arrangements today that I'm going to be putting together. And I just really love the way that those look back there. I also have another patch here of the Shasta daisies, which is getting ready to bloom. In my dahlia patch, I have a few dahlias that are starting to show some color. So this one here, my lavender is still going strong. And then this dahlia here, this is one that just always comes back for me. And it always, I feel like every year it gets a little bigger and bigger, but it's a really pretty dahlia. So some of my dahlias are starting to come up, and they're gonna look really beautiful in this garden bed over here. Another spot where I'm going to be cutting some flowers today is this bed of snapdragons. Now, snapdragons are cut and come again, so the more that I cut, the more that I'm going to get. And I do want to wait for the bottom ones to be open before I cut these. So like this bloom right here would be a good example. So the top is not open yet, but the bottom couple blooms are open. And that's when you know that, it's safe to go ahead and cut them for a vase. So here are some more of the Snapdragons that are just looking so pretty. And then I do have a few roses that are blooming um, in this area here. And then back in here, these are ones that I put in pots this year rather than in the ground, but I might incorporate some of those into my cut flower bouquets today. Another cut flower that I might incorporate today is these nasturtiums. So you can see they're kind of like long and sort of like more like a creeping vine. And I could definitely clean this area up a little bit and cut some of these nasturtiums. I don't know how well nasturtiums will last in a vase, however, so it'll be kind of an experiment if I decide to cut some of these, but they're blooming absolutely gorgeous here in my green stock. I'm really enjoying these nasturtiums. Another just workhorse of a plant here is this cat's pajamas nepeta. The pollinators are all over it, and it's still giving a really nice flush of blooms. Now, this is one where you can actually, cut it back after the first flush of blooms and get a second flush. So, but it's not even ready for that. It's still got lots of really pretty color, and the pollinators are really enjoying it this morning. This garden bed is looking really beautiful with lots of color right now. The Veronica are blooming. Right here, it's so pretty. Those are ones that have come back for me. And then all of my pinks, which are coming back. This one I believe is called the Apple Blossom variety, and it's like probably my favorite in this garden bed. But this whole garden bed here is really beautiful with lots of pinks and purples, and it's just looking really pretty through here. Really enjoying this spot in my yard right now. Something else that is, I'm waiting for it to bloom, but I might just go ahead and cut them and use them as is, are these alliums. So these are called a drumstick allium. I've been waiting for them to bloom with some purple color, but I actually kind of like the way they look just like this, and I think they would actually look really cool in a floral arrangement as is. We'll see. What do you think? You think I should wait a little bit longer or just cut them the way they are right now? So another plant that I grew from seed are these white poppies. They are just really doing well in this spot. I've noticed the plant themselves is, they're getting a lot bigger. They're producing more and more blooms. They don't last very long as a cut flower, I've noticed. But I think as far as like a landscape flower, they're really, really beautiful. And I did grow all of these from seed. Over here on this side are a few more. I need to deadhead a few of these, but you can see I just love that, bright yellow center. And then my peas, I am busy harvesting. So this bunch here is a variety that's taken a little bit longer to get to full size. But I have been harvesting these peas as we go, waiting for them to get nice and plump. And then this patch of peas actually, unfortunately, broke. So they got so tall and heavy, and we had a kind of a windy day, and they kind of snapped and broke. So most of these I've already harvested the beans, but I still have like one little sprig up here that I'm just waiting for them to get nice and plump and chubby. And I will harvest these peas, and then I'm going to be taking out the peas. So these are a spring plant for me, and once I do this first batch of harvest, that's kind of it. I'm not going to get another harvest off of them, so I'll pull all these out and then do something different in these two beds. I'm excited to see this little plant back here tucked in. This is a star jasmine, and it did overwinter. I planted it last fall. It overwintered in the spot, and I've noticed it has a few little flowers on it, so that's really exciting to see. My limelight hydrangeas are getting ready to burst. So you can see all the little buds coming up in here. It's really exciting to see them getting ready to bloom. This one I've had in the ground. This will be its third year, I believe. And it's really putting on a lot of size, and it's going to be really pretty in this spot. I'm really loving this little spot in my yard as well. They're not really blooms, but I love the white edging on this hydrangea right here. I'm sorry, not hydrangea, hosta. The white margin, and it's just so big. It's one that's been in the ground for many years. I've got another hosta here, and then just this little area of foliage with the different you know, the purple foliage, and then the angel wings. And then I've got kind of that corkscrew plant back there in the pot. And then these bigger plants back here are called bear's breeches, and they bloom biannually. And last year they did not bloom for me, so I'm hoping I get some blooms this year. But they're really cool, the blooms, once they go. And then I've got some fuchsia here that is putting on some buds. And see if I can find one. There you go. So they've got some buds in my fuchsia, and these overwintered here for me in 8B as well. So fuchsias are kind of a tender perennial here in my area, but these ones did really good back here. So just this whole like secret little garden area is really pretty back here. A new plant that I planted is a passion flower. So these two vines here are a passion flower, which I'm going to train up this trellis. I'll try to pop in a picture of what a passion flower looks like. They're such a cool like flower. I'm really excited to add them to my landscape. And then back here in the kind of center of this bed, I did put in one of my Japanese vine maples. I planted it into the ground. So I will have a little tree back here. So that's a new planting for me, and I decided to go ahead and incorporate that back here too. Another plant that's doing really well is my Vermillionaire. This is one from Proven Winners, and I put it in specifically for my hummingbirds. The hummingbirds really love it, and I can't believe that my pansies are still going for it too. They haven't petered out in the heat yet, but yeah, this area is looking really pretty. Now, this one is a self-seeder. This is I believe it's oh, I'm trying to think of the name of it, you guys. Oh, it'll come to me. It's self-seeded from last year. Another thing that's kind of cool to see is this has gone to seed. So this is a columbine. And I don't know if you can see there, but there's like these little seed pods with black seeds in them. So what I can do is break those off and just spread those around this area so that the columbine continues to produce and come back and spread. My Jacob's Ladder plant is actually blooming right now too. I kind of forgot that it blooms in this really pretty purple color, and I just love the foliage of this plant. I mainly grow it for the foliage just because it's so pretty, but I kind of forgot that it blooms with this really pretty purple flower, and it's in bloom right now. So something that's exploding with growth right now, which we have been harvesting like crazy, are the blueberries. So the blueberries have been putting on so much growth. We have been out here picking and picking and picking and filling up freezer bags. So if I had a word of advice to you, it would be to plant some blueberries if you are able to in your growing zone. I'm here in zone 8B, and it's just so nice to have fresh blueberries in the summer, and then of course be able to enjoy the blueberries all winter long out of the freezer. This front garden bed is looking really awesome. The daylilies are going strong, and they are such a pretty, almost like burgundy red color. And then to pop them against these white Shasta daisies just makes for such a pretty look. So I'm really enjoying this garden bed, and I love that it's right here in the front of our home. You can see these are getting ready to pop any day. And it's really fun that both the Shasta daisies and the daylilies start to bloom right around the same time, and it just looks really pretty here in the front. This lavender plant is blooming amazing right now, and the pollinators are really enjoying it. It just seems to be doing really well here in the front garden. This is one I had transplanted from a different bed that didn't get as much sun, but this one is very, very happy here. This is a Pugster Blue, I believe, from Proven Winners. It is a beautiful, beautiful buddleia, and you can see it is just such a pretty color of purple. It's almost like a warm purple, and it has grown so much. This is over here by our mailbox. I call this our auxiliary garden bed. It used to be just all weeds, and then I kind of decided to adopt it, and I put in a few things a couple years ago. I also put in a couple hydrangeas. You can see they're sort of hiding down here, but they're getting ready to bloom. But really, this buddleia right now is the star of the show. So it's really fun to have this over here. It's really great for our pollinators, of course, and it makes for a beautiful cut flower. It's such a pretty color. So I had to share this one with you in this garden tour today. This plant, I believe, is called a falling stars plant. It is a bulb and it comes back every year out of the ground. This is what the foliage looks like. So tell me in the comments if you know. As far as I could tell from looking it up, it's the falling stars. What I do know about this plant is that the pollinators, especially the hummingbirds, really love this plant. So it is definitely blooming. It's a beautiful red color, and it also will spread by rhizome. So you can kind of see down here, you know, some of these little baby ones. Now they don't bloom for the first couple years. They take a couple years to kind of get established. So you do have to be careful if you plant this one because it will spread by rhizome. But if you have enough area for it, it is a stunning plant. And again, just a magnet for the hummingbirds. So I'm really enjoying this one right here in the end of June. It's really putting on a pretty show. Over here in the side yard, we have lots of things blooming. This is an agastache or agastache, and it is a really pretty color. It's almost like kind of like a mauve color, I guess. It's kind of a pink, but it's a little bit more of like a neutral pink. Anyway, I really love the color on this one. This one's more in the shade and it's doing well. And then I also have one over here in the sun. Now the blooms on this one I would say are a little bit more like washed out looking, but it's still just a really pretty color, and it's been a really hardy plant over here in the side yard. You can see the yarrow is also going to town. I love this buttery yellow of this yarrow. It's so pretty. I have noticed that it flopped a little bit on me, like it's a little flopped in the center. So I might need to up the water on this one a little bit, but yarrow do like well-drained soil and they can take the heat. But I really like the contrast of this, you know, butter yellow with this really pretty kind of mauve. And then my kind of Suncredible sunflowers here, these are proven winners. They're doing amazing. They are blooming their heads off, got lots of blooms coming, and I love how they're just doing really good. The pollinators are all over them. There's a little bee hanging out this morning. Actually, it's kind of this afternoon. This plant has also done really awesome. It's a sedum that's down here, and it's looking good. It's looking good. And then, dun, 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 more Shasta daisies. I love Shasta daisies. They remind me of my childhood. It's one of the plants I remember picking as a little girl. And so these two clumps are ones that I divided. And that's the other thing that's great about them is you can, you know, let them grow on, divide them, move them around your garden, and it makes for really economical gardening. So these are doing really well. Check out my hydrangea over here. This one I believe was a Monrovia. I planted it last year, but look at these blooms. I mean, they're almost starting to fade a little bit, but they are just gorgeous. It's looking so good. And then these two are a Shasta daisy from Proven Winners. I think it's called like a buttercup. I'll try to find the exact name of it, but I know they were a Proven Winners. And so again, they're a Shasta daisy, so they're gonna be nice and hardy, but they have more of a buttery lemon color to them instead of the stark white. And they have more of like a triple petal. So aren't they gorgeous? I'm excited for these two clumps to get even bigger and bigger because it's just looking so pretty. Here's another one of those sedums that's come back and looking awesome. One thing I have noticed that's not the best is my tree here. This one is a apple tree, and I might have some kind of fungus on this or some kind of pest. So I need to do a little bit more research, but it has these little like yellow spots on it. So I'm a little concerned. I need to do, like I said, I need to do a little bit more research on this and see if I can figure out what's going on with my fruit tree. But this whole garden bed over here on the side is just really popping with color, and it's so nice to pull up to my house and see all this gorgeous color here in my side yard. My little sunflower patch. I grew these from seed as starts and then transplanted them, and you can see some of them have not made it. They just don't look the best. They get a lot of sun here. I've been trying to keep up on the watering, but this soil is underneath a really big tree, and so I don't know if that has something to do with it. I mean, it's just not the best soil. So I've been trying to water these and see if I can get them to go, but I don't know. I don't know. These are single bloom head sunflowers that, you know, once they bloom once, you cut them and then they're done. So I think I'm going to just maybe stick with my multi-branching ones that I bought over here and just enjoy these as my sunflowers this year. But I don't know, maybe those ones over there will still take off. Who knows? Here's another daylily here in my front entryway that also is looking really, really pretty. You can see it's the same variety as the one I have in the front. This is one of the ones that I was able to divide, and I still have this gorgeous big plant here and was able to get more plants in the front. And then my little planting here is doing okay. These are from Proven Winners. Let's see, I always forget the name of them. Nemesia. And they are getting a lot of sun right now, and they're still blooming. They're holding their own. They're looking pretty good. I've got this lantana up in here that's holding its own. I would say the sun patients are starting to get they're getting a little too much sun. They're getting a little tired. This might not be the best place for them. I'm gonna go ahead and pop these off while I'm here. But again, they're doing okay. I definitely think the sun patients on this side are happier. And the lantana over here is happier, and the nemesia over here looks a little happier. So, well, actually, now that I'm looking at it, that side, well, yeah. I mean, the colors are a little bit more faded, but all in all, everything's doing good. Oh, I meant verbena. You guys, I'm sorry. It's not a lantana. It's a verbena, this one here. Verbenas can take pretty good sun, but you can see the sun patient on this side looks a lot better than the other one. As far as my containers out here in the front, I did have to push some things over to the shade. You can see my coleus was starting to get a little fried out here, although the geranium is blooming. And same with this guy, the creeping Jenny was getting a little taxed with all of the sun. So I scooted some stuff over. I scooted these into the shade. This area over here, I scooted these back. Things were just getting a lot of sun. I had to cut a few leaves off my elephant ear. It got a little fried. That's one of the ones I kept, but it was getting way too much sun as well. So you have to be careful with this spot in my garden because it does get so much sun. This succulent planter, however, is loving its life in the sun and is fully blooming. So it's looking really good here. Banana tree is also living its best life here over in the shade. It's put on several new leaves. In fact, it has more coming, and yeah, definitely wants the shade. But it's really popping now that it's been warmer. So even though it wants the shade, I definitely think that the warmth is, you know, pulling out all of these new leaves. Aren't they cool? They're so pretty. Finally got some blooms on my geraniums that I started from seed. So these are a red geranium I started from seed, and you can see I finally got some blooms on them. And I'm pretty happy about it. I'm pretty happy with them. I have a couple here that are on the struggle bus. This one is on the struggle bus. This one he's off the bus. He's like, he gave up. He's given up. Maybe not though. I mean, he's still alive. He's just very crispy. And then I had one osterspermum that also was on the struggle bus. And, you know, I had all that work done in our garden. We had a bunch of work done with irrigation. So who knows? He could, you know, this could have got stepped on or something. Who knows what happened to that one. The petunias are still popping though. They're looking good and they're enjoying the heat. And then you guys, these little evergreens, I just love them. They're such a good like staple plant here in the front. And right now they're just really like this beautiful kind of yellowish neon green. And I just love the structure they provide. But I definitely feel like I might need to, you know, find another osterspermum for that one spot or something else. But everything else is doing good here in this front little garden bed. It's looking good. This pot is looking pretty good right now too. It's got the creeping Jenny that's looking good. Believe it or not, I still have some of these shade lovers that are still blooming. I can't even believe these primroses are still blooming. And then of course the pinks are still going for it, and I've been deadheading those. So overall, this pot's looking pretty good. This one, I had to cut it back quite a bit. It had some mint in it and it had some powdery mildew. So I cut it all back just to see, you know, what would happen. Also the lavender is done blooming. And then here I have This is oh, it's a cyclamen, and I probably need to dig it out of here because it's not going to do very good there in the heat. So I don't know. I might get something else for this pot. This is the one that I kind of inherited. I bought it for like pretty cheap, and I mainly just bought it for the pot, but then it was planted up with a few things. So anyway, I did cut it back quite a bit. I left the sage, but you can kind of see in the back there was a little bit of like some powdery mildew going on. So I cut it way back, and we'll see. Maybe it'll rebound a little bit. So this is how the front entry is looking right now. And if you haven't seen the video where I sort of zhuzhed this up for the 4th of July, I'll link that below. I definitely have had some comments from friends and neighbors as they approach that that it feels welcoming, it looks cute. So I really like the way my topiaries look with their little bow ties and the swag and the wreath and the little entry rug. It really makes a nice impact here in my front entryway. So I'm enjoying that. And then if I back up a little bit, my jasmine, not jasmine, my honeysuckle is almost done with its bloom for the spring, but it still has a pretty nice smell to it. But yeah, it's about done, which is too bad. Beds are looking pretty good this month. You can see the potatoes have flopped a little bit, which means they might need a little bit more water, but they are still going strong. And then my pumpkins have really started to vine out just in the last couple days, I would say. I'm starting to get things like this. So what I try to do is push them all back up against the house. And then this whole back area here just kind of fills with the pumpkin vines. My strawberries have been doing really well. They are still, giving me some berries, but I've been harvesting them, I would say about every other day. And I definitely think next year I might just go ahead and pull all these strawberries and plant new. I definitely have some that are really tired and not looking good. And oh my gosh, midnight. Midnight, that's my corn. Buddy, get out of there. Oh my gosh, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna click, hold on. Buddy, no. Oh my goodness, what are you doing in my corn? Those are my baby corns. Bud, man, no wonder my corn babies have been all flopped over. I've been trying to figure out what's wrong with them. Turns out it's a very big pest called my cat. Dang it. So real quickly, I wanted to show you the peas. These are spring shelling peas, and you can see they're kind of done. I did notice some fresh growth on some of this. Like here's where it broke, and then I'm noticing like there is a little bit of growth, but honestly, I'm not seeing any more flowers anymore. And I think this patch in particular is done. This was an early blooming, early producing pea for the spring. So I think this week I'm going to go ahead and pull all this out. Now these ones I'm still harvesting, and let me tell you, I'm harvesting hard. Like they are just loaded with peas. In fact, I harvested a ton this morning. I'll show them to you. But again, I'm going to have to probably harvest the rest of these, let the ones that are still little get a little bit fatter, and then probably pull this out and do something else here. So yeah, so I'm trying to figure out, I think I might do more zinnias in these two beds, or I might do more green beans. I do have green beans in one other spot, but I like to have a lot of green beans for freezing for my family, so I might do that as well. But definitely more to come on this patch. I think it's going to come out within the next couple days. My gladiolas are almost getting ready to bloom. I just noticed today I have a bloom stalk here. So isn't it beautiful just the way it looks even before it blooms? I think it's so interesting. It looks like a braid or a basketry or something. The snapdragons that are underplanted here are not getting as much, they don't get as much sun, but you can start to see the color that I'm going to get is this really pretty like burgundy, velvety red color, and those will all be the same variety there. But I'm excited for my gladiolas to do their thing. We'll see. Again, they don't get quite as much sun as they probably should back here, but I'm excited to see this bed pop maybe next month. So here's another shot of what that particular snapdragon, which I grew a bunch of these. Look at the color, you guys. I'm obsessed. I hope the camera's picking it up. It's so pretty. So this bed has some snapdragons. It also has more of the bluebells, which I just had left over because, man, if you've never tried to grow that campanula bluebells, I would highly recommend it. It is so it's easy to grow. Yeah, it's pretty easy to grow. Anyway, this bed, again, I think it's going to get enough sun this month where it's really going to start to pop. So this beauty is my Rosa Sharon, and I'm very excited to see that it is putting on new growth. It has come back. It is actually in a pretty shady spot, but I'm hoping it does okay and that I get some blooms. But I'm excited to see that it survived. Other thing I'm working on harvesting right now is my garlic. So you can see I just pulled these 3 out. They're kind of on the smaller side. These are pots that I had to pull them out of a different bed and move them, and there was like a whole saga, but they are definitely ready to harvest. Once they get about, I would say 2 to 3 leaves that are dry, and again, I can pretty easily pull these out. I stopped watering these pots very often. So I'm gonna harvest this one, and then again, stay tuned. I've got more videos coming on harvesting garlic and onions. Another thing I have to get in here and harvest, in fact, it looks like I'm a little behind the times. I've got a few down here on the ground, is this raspberry bush. Now this raspberry bush I've had for a couple years, so it's the one that does the best for me. I couldn't tell you which kind of variety it is, but I do know it's a thornless type. But these raspberries, this one is doing really amazing this year. And like I said, I need to get in here. I need to get in here and harvest. It's been a day or two and they were just dropping on the ground, but they're so delicious. It's been a really good little producer for me, and it's my oldest raspberry bush, and it's just in a pot. It's in a big nursery pot, and it's pretty happy in this spot. So I got to get in here and harvest some more raspberries tonight. So just to give you an idea of the pea harvest I've been getting, this is what I harvested about 2 nights ago, and this is what I harvested today. So you can see I have a lot of peas. So we're gonna eat these first. We'll probably eat these fresh tonight. And then I might go ahead and freeze some of these. I don't do anything special, you guys. I just rinse them off. I let them dry kind of in a bowl like this, and then I just pop them in freezer bags. Now I won't have them in there for years and years and years. Like we'll eat them pretty quickly. But it does help me keep them fresh for a little bit longer. But the best way to eat them, you guys, is just to eat them fresh. It does take a little time to shell them, I will say that, but you know what? It's totally worth it. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our garden tour here for the month of June. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and checking out what's blooming in my Oregon yard this month. If you need me, I'll be doing some gardening here in my Oregon yard. I'll see you next time. Bye.